Hi, I'm Thorn Bishop, and welcome to Top Secret Inc. Today we'll be walking through Grimm Fairy Tales presents Alice in Wonderland, Issue 1 by Zenescope Comics. So get comfortable, because it's going to be one hell of a ride. So we start things off with little Alice. And when I say little, I mean like 6 or 7 years old, standing in front of this massive oak tree that looks like it's been around since the dawn of time. Now, this isn't just any tree, folks. This bad boy's got a hole at the base that's big enough for Alice to waltz right through. And behind her, her grandparents, doing what grandparents do best, explaining some weird family tradition that sounds like complete nonsense. Listen, you need to go through the hole, Alice, they say. It's a rite of passage, or some bullshit like that. I mean, what kind of family tradition involves sending a first grader into a creepy tree hole? But hey, that's family for you, right? Exactly. So, Alice, being the brave little soul that she is, steps into the opening and discovers, surprise, it's not just a hole, it's a massive tunnel system that stretches about 20 feet tall. We're talking cathedral-sized proportions here, and that's when things get really interesting, because she starts hearing these voices, but not just any voices. Voices calling her name, telling her to keep walking forward because everyone is waiting for her. Now, I don't know about you, but when mysterious voices start telling me everyone's waiting, that's usually my cue to turn around and get the hell out of there. But Alice, she keeps going until, whoops, she trips and falls through another hole, because apparently this place just has holes everywhere. She lands in yet another tunnel, and that's where she meets the first Wonderland resident, Little White Rabbit. Now, this rabbit's talking, which is okay because talking animals in stories, I get it. But here's the thing. He's speaking English, but he's making about as much sense as a politician during election season. This guy's basically talking like he's completely lost his marbles. Alice realizes this potentially insane rabbit might be her only ticket back to the entrance. So what does she do? She starts chasing him, because nothing says good life choices like following a mad rabbit deeper into a magical hole system. Then eventually, they stop in this circular room, and guys, this is where things get absolutely wild. We're talking about a room with about 100 doors that are visible. But here's the kicker. Most of them are stacked vertically on top of each other, going as far as the eye can see. Like there's no ceiling here, just doors upon doors upon doors. Like some kind of architectural fever dream or something. The rabbit drops this bombshell on her saying, hey, each door leads to a different dream. Which is, either really cool or really terrifying depending on your perspective. Then the room starts to spin, because of course it does. And the rabbit tells Alice to just hold on to something. And suddenly gravity decides to take a complete vacation and reverses on itself. And Alice is now falling past hundreds of these dream doors without being able to grab onto any of them to stop herself. And while she's falling, she sees some of the most trippy shit you've seen in ages. We're talking about like schools of fish floating around in midair, a couple of dudes rowing a boat through like nothing, some pigs going fishing, and some mice wielding ninja swords. At this point, I'm starting to think someone slipped something into Alice's morning cereal. She finally lands outside next to a tree. Not the same oak tree, mind you, because that would be too easy. Alice is all alone now. And that's when she sees several sets of glowing eyes in the tall grass. The voices eerily say that they can see her. Alice, being the polite child that she is, responds that she needs help. She needs help to get home. And that's when another voice appears, loud, deep, and asking, "What are you saying?" And then we meet the big bad of this story, the Jabberwocky. This thing is an absolute beast. We're talking about an enormously long green worm with an insect's head, green eyes, and buck teeth like a rabbit, with 2 arms and sharp claws on it. Basically, it's what you get if you crossed a caterpillar with your worst nightmare and gave it a dental problem. The Jabberwocky drops some heavy news on Alice and says, hey, you can never leave because, I need to feed on your life energy of innocence. She basically is his prisoner now, and if she tries to escape, he'll just eat her, which is about as comforting as it really sounds, right? But here's where Alice shows that she's got some serious, emotional intelligence. She tells the Jabberwocky that she can see the pain and hunger in his face and she offers to help him as long as no one gets hurt and she gets to go home. So, naturally, they strike a deal, which in hindsight might not have been the best decision on Alice's part, but we'll roll with it for now. The Jabberwocky shows Alice the looking glass, and no, it's not just a fancy mirror. This thing reveals the real world to Alice. She sees images of herself as a child and as a teenager, and the Jabberwocky explains that this is the Alice who remained in the real world. And to merge back, they need to touch hands through the looking glass. When Alice places her hands on the glass, the other Alice starts to pull her soul through. The Jabberwocky reveals his master plan. Alice's soul will remain inside the real-world Alice under his control until the bargain has been fulfilled. Through the looking glass, Alice watches herself 6 years of age exit the oak tree and greet her grandparents as they head home, leaving her in Wonderland. Time has no meaning in Wonderland, which is convenient for storytelling, but probably hell for scheduling. And years go by. Alice tries to escape multiple times, all unsuccessful. Now she's a young adult, maybe about 18 or 19, and she's basically been the Jabberwocky's roommate this whole time. One night she awakens by a familiar voice. The White Rabbit's back. The same White Rabbit who led her into this mess and now is here to help her escape. He gives her a magic mushroom, and before you get any ideas, it's not that kind of mushroom. This one's kind of like a sleeping potion. He tells her to place it under the Jabberwocky's nose so that they can make a clean getaway. Without hesitation, Alice takes the mushroom and carefully places it next to one of the Jabberwocky's nostrils. Then she and the rabbit makes a break for it into the woods, because nothing says stealth mission like running through the forest. After some time in the woods, they encounter the Cheshire Cat. But this isn't your typical grinning feline. This is a large beast that's part dragon, part cat. The Cheshire Cat wants to keep Alice as her pet, but the rabbit points out that she belongs to the Jabberwocky. The cat responds by taking a swipe at the rabbit with its large, long claws. Both Alice and the rabbit make a break for it through the trees with a massive feline in hot pursuit. They all end up in a clearing where Alice gets tangled up in tree roots. The same thing happens to the Cheshire Cat, but the roots look like they're alive and they engulf the cat. Then out of the ground comes this massive worm-like plant with huge jaws that looks absolutely famished. Alice manages to wriggle out of the roots, but the cat warns her that he'll get his revenge, because apparently every man-eating plant can't keep a good villain down. Eventually, Alice and the rabbit find a secluded cabin on the beach. Alice walks over to splash her face in some water, and out from the lake emerges a 50-foot walrus with black eyes. I hope you enjoyed the walkthrough today, but here's the thing. You need to get your hands on the actual book. Hit up your local comic shop or grab it from an online vendor. Support these comic book companies because they're the real people busting their asses writing these insane stories. Even though you're hearing about it from me, when you actually read it yourself, I guarantee you'll have a completely different perspective on the whole thing. Trust me, it hits different on paper.